Hey everybody, Mike McElroy here with Center Coast Realty, taking a break from this crazy spring real estate market to give you a behind the scenes look at what is going on in Chicago's dynamic real estate market. Before we get into it, as always, I'm about to give you a high level view of the whole market overall, but real estate is hyper local. So what's going on in your neighborhood might be different than the overall trend. So if you want to know what's going on in your own backyard, fill out the form below, put in your name, email, and the neighborhood that you're interested in, and we will send you a handcrafted report on the neighborhood of your choice, and we'll tell you what's going on behind the scenes, and then we'll answer all your questions that you have about it. All right, let's get into it. We'll start with median prices, because that's what everyone wants to know. In the Chicago area overall, home prices increased over the last year by over 10%. That's a huge increase for just 1 year, and it's the story we've been telling for the past 9 months, this turnaround story and housing being a real bright spot in the overall economy. In Chicago, some substantial appreciation as well, home prices up about 9%. As we move closer to the downtown area and start to focus on some of those city center neighborhoods, prices did increase, but only about 6.7%. That's still a lot for a year, folks. Again, as you get closer and closer to State and Madison right there in the loop, the softer that home price appreciation is year over year. So some of those downtown neighborhoods are dragging that number down, and some of the neighborhoods a little bit further from downtown are pushing those numbers up. So that's what's going on with median prices. To get an idea of what's next, let's look at supply and demand. This is interesting. So starting with the demand side of things, looking at the Chicago market overall, the number of contracts increased 12.7% in February compared to February of last year. So that's a pretty good jump on a monthly basis. But when we zoom into the city of Chicago, that same number increased by almost 30%. So that's a big difference, right? The overall Chicagoland market is up around 12%, which is good. But the neighborhoods closer, the denser neighborhoods, are up more like 30%. So what's going on there? We think there's two things happening. One, we think there's some pent-up demand in the city. While folks were making moves in the suburbs all of last year trying to get more space, and the suburbs were where they could afford that space, the city was a little bit softer. This year, as things start to open back up, people who would have bought in the city last year but delayed those plans are now making moves this year in the city of Chicago. The other piece of that puzzle is the supply side of things. So let's look at that for a second. In those downtown and city center neighborhoods that have seen an increase in demand in February, the supply of homes is actually about 17.5% higher than it was in February of 2020. Looking at the city overall, though, the supply of homes is down 10%. Zooming out even further and looking at the whole Chicago region, supply of homes, see if you can guess, up or down? Down by over 50%. So there's less than half as many homes for sale in the suburban markets than there were in February of 2020. So folks, their demand is still there. It's just that there's not that much to buy, which is causing that contracts number to be depressed a little bit. So the overall demand is up everywhere. It's up the most in the suburban markets, and it has been, but the city is catching up rapidly. So it's very much a seller's market no matter where you go. And we're seeing that out there, boots on the ground, as our agents are working with buyers and sellers in this market. Things are definitely tipping to a seller's market. So what does that mean for you? First, let's talk to the home buyers. So if you're looking to buy a home this year, my advice is to accept that you are in a seller's market. Home prices appreciated about 10% last year. They're likely going to go up another 8 to 10% this year. And that means that you might have to pay, in order to get the home you want, 8 to 10% more than the list price, or 8 to 10% more than a similar home sold for last year. And that's just how home price appreciation works. When there's multiple offers on a property, buyers pay up. We are definitely seeing people pay 10, 15% more than the list price on some homes in order to win these multiple offer scenarios. And that might make you say, hey, I don't want to do that. I'm going to wait until next year. But the problem is, if you wait until next year, home prices will have already appreciated, and they may not continue appreciating as much next year, but they're unlikely to decline that much. more than likely the home price appreciation will just slow down a little bit next year. The other thing that's going to happen is interest rates. They're at historic lows right now, really, really low, and they just won't stay at that level forever. Even a 1% increase in interest rates could cost you a lot of money on your monthly payment. We're talking hundreds of dollars depending on the size of the loan. So waiting, unfortunately, isn't a great option. If you're a seller, this is your moment. Congratulations. It's one of the best sellers markets we've seen in the last 10 years. Seize that moment. Do not delay. Get your home on the market really right now. The best time to list is mid-March to mid-April. The sooner you list, the more time you have to play with maybe a more of a wish list price. And if it doesn't work out, you can always drop it back down in line with the market, because right now things are so hot, you got a little bit more margin for error. At some point, things will slow down a little bit in May or June. I advise you to get on the market before that happens. So if it sounds like I'm saying now is the time to buy and now is the time to sell, there's a case for both. And again, previously in these videos, I've told you, hey, don't sell right now. It's the winter. Don't do it. Or I've said, hey, now's not the best time to buy based on the factors in the market. Right now, it's really as good as it's going to get for both parties. So let's just all agree to sleep next year and get through this busy spring real estate market, make those moves, and you'll be glad you did next year. All right, once again, if you want to know what's going on in your neighborhood, because again, there's exceptions to all of this, fill out that form below with your name, email address, and the neighborhood or neighborhoods that you're interested in. We'll send you that handcrafted report on what's going on in your own backyard. And we'll see you back here next time for another Chicago real estate market update.